Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this evening's meditation. We're extremely lucky to have Phillip Wade with us, but before that, just one or two things which I'd like to say, particularly for the people who are here for the first time. Meditation has always been enormously important in the network, and so I consider these sessions to be really important. And you know that one of the things we've been doing is looking at different meditations, because it's certainly been found that some people do better with one meditation than they do with another. So to try out different meditations is very important. And the other point about meditation is that the meditation leads you into a group. You become a group effort with the meditation. And some of you will have seen the paper which I gave to you by Old, which is really the culmination of the Maharishi's movement, 1 in 100, and their Zendo for meditation, and the way that they all linked together. And they call it the radiance effect now. So there's a marked radiance effect from meditation. So this evening, before we begin, let's light the candle. Thank you. And now it's a really great pleasure, Phillip, to introduce you. Phillip Wade is going to take our meditation session today. And Phillip has been, I think, probably been teaching since 2000, when he had his first very strong experience. And then a few years later, he had an even deeper experience. And one of his main aims now is to teach meditation, and he has this he has his own group and his own set of followers, some of whom I hope are here this evening. If they are, welcome to the network meditation session. And you can come any Sunday evening if you're not working and see the sort of things that we do here. When I spoke to Phillip, he said that he might possibly do 2 meditations with us. Is that correct, Phillip?
I've got, what I'll do is I'll lead into the infinite silence meditation, but with an awareness recognition exercise first. So
Splendid.
I'll use that to open you into the meditation.
Oh, that's excellent.
Just to clarify or correct something there, I actually began meditation in 2000, and the realization was in first part 2011, full realization 2014. So fairly 7 years ago.
Yes, and it's been an amazing 7 years. I do recommend that you go onto Phillip's website and have a look at it, because one of the things that struck me about Phillip is that he doesn't charge you for anything. And it's been a very important part of his teaching that he doesn't charge. And I think that this is enormously important, because as some of you know, if you want a course with Jeffrey Martin, it'll cost you $2,000, although that's now come down. And Craig Hamilton will charge you $200 for a course, which in fact I think is reasonable, because you get a lot of help and assistance from his people if you want to go on that. Now, Phillip, born in Manchester, is that right?
Correct, yeah.
So you have a lovely northern view of England. My wife was born in Burnley, so you're both very close.
Absolutely, yeah, just that. Yeah.
And
I live in North Yorkshire these days, though, so at the other side of the Pennines.
Oh, really? Oh, do you? Yes. And in your teaching, you do retreats and
Yeah, retreats, they are by donation. So it's, everything I share is open source. So all the material, everything there is available. Nothing held back. That's the open source bit. The retreats I do are via donation, principally to cover the costs of running the websites and running the yeah. So yeah, retreats, online events, as we've obviously been necessary a lot in through 2020.
yes, they have. Yes.
We have a purpose-built space here at home now for retreats.
So you're in Yorkshire, are you?
North Yorkshire, yeah, near Ripon. Near Ripon.
Near Ripon. Yes, I know Ripon. Yes, and when you say purpose-built, is it so sound protected or soundproof?
It's not got any specific soundproofing, although the acoustics are pretty good, I'm told. It was kind of a vision that emerged to have this space. So it's got a pyramidal shaped roof, and it's made out of, you can probably just see just behind me there, the oak columns and glass. So it's oak and glass with a pyramidal roof, and next to it here we've got a Zen garden, my wife's art studio out there, and we've got, fortunately, we have a fair bit of grounds, so we have some beautiful gardens as part of the space as well. So yeah.
And pyramidal shape, because pyramids, of course, have been used almost, well, certainly since the time of the early Egyptians, and are thought to have an esoteric significance. Is that why you made it pyramidal shape?
It was partly because of the space that was here before, which was a double garage. But also, by making it square, we could make it pyramidal, and it fitted with the vision that came up in meditation for the space. So it was obvious then to make it a pyramidal, because it focuses the energy. Yeah.
And you found that meditation was very helpful. In the beginning, what sort of meditations were you doing?
Well, when I started in 2000, it was really just I didn't know anything, to be honest, then. So I actually acquired a book by a gentleman called Paul. What's his name? Oh, it's come to me. And he was an Australian guy, and that taught me a basic meditation using the breath, and just simply starting to bring one's attention to the present moment. And I just continued with that. I did use various visualization type meditations for a while, but as the journey went on, they became simpler and simpler. And I can't say I went to any other meditation classes. I just continued with my own understanding of meditation. And then big insights started to arrive in 2011, which changed the direction of the meditation, and also the then starting to share that as a practice, which is what I call the Spheres of Light meditation, which is on a meditations only website. So it moved from, I would say probably guided it to some degree through to what I now understand clearly as an awareness-based meditation, and that's what I'll be using tonight.
Oh, thank you. The question which arises from this is that you were 50, weren't you, I think, when the whole process started?
Yeah, the first realization, yeah.
Yes. And you must have read Bach's Cosmic Consciousness, because he feels that people in their 30s are the ones who get it. But I think that's all outdated and wrong now. I think it can occur at any time. What's your view?
Yeah, anytime, any place, anywhere, like that old Martini advert. You know, if the being is ripe, it will arise. And actually, in the sharing that I've done in recent years, there can be people well into their 70s through to much younger. It's really about the willingness and the ripeness of the individual to commit to that inner calling.
And one of the things which we learned in this group is that meditation is helpful, but in fact, it makes you, as somebody said, more accident prone. So you've got to do your meditation to become more accident prone. The actual arising of awakening is something which is different. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I've heard that. I think it might have been old Zen saying that, and it does make you accident prone for sure. Some would argue, and it's also true to say that it is uncaused, and that's true. But that's only true at what I would call the absolute level. If you're feeling a calling from within your heart to meditation, to self-realization, then if you follow that unequivocally, it will flower because it's here for us all.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, Philip, let me take up no more of your time. Can I hand over the group to you for our meditation session this evening?
Sure. And thank you very much. And thank you to you all for joining, members of the Scientific and Medical Network. And I think I've got a few people who have been to my events on here as well. So welcome and thank you for joining. It's always nice to have a few faces I know. So what I wanted to do, I'll guide you into the meditation, and what I'll be using is the infinite silence meditation, which is a term that emerged as part of the realization that I was to use in the sharing. But before I guide you specifically into that, I just wanted to do a little awareness-based exercise to kind of open you up a little bit. I find this very useful for groups. And it doesn't matter whether you've meditated for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, this exercise is still very helpful. So just to introduce the exercise itself, and you can do this with your eyes closed now if you want, from this point forward. Just going to invite you to recognize that all the phenomena that we experience in life, whether it be a thought, an emotion, some other bodily sensation, a feeling, all of them, this may seem really obvious, they come and they go. And they're like waves. 1 minute there's no emotion there, and then a wave emerges of emotion, and sometimes you might think you are the emotion. I am feeling, or I am this fear, this shame, this guilt. But actually, that's not true. It's something that arose, was observed, and if you simply just remain as the observer, it will pass. The mere fact that you can observe all of these phenomena, thoughts, feelings, emotions, physical sensations, arising and coming and going, is an indication that there's a witnessing presence. And that witnessing presence, you will find, is actually untouched and unmoved by the waves, the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings. It simply, silently observes. That's all. So to the little exercise now, and you might want to just jot down what comes to you as we do this little exercise, because I'll refer to it again later. But keep your eyes closed for now. With your eyes closed, just ask inside this question: who am I? Who am I? And just be with that for a few. And maybe just make a mental note of anything that comes. Now, typically, when I do that, people get anything from their identity as a person or words like love and many other responses. So what we can do now is just deepen that little exercise a bit further, keeping your eyes closed. And again, inside, we're now going to ask the question, who am I without memory? Who am I without memory? And just rest with that for a few moments. And just whatever arises, be okay with that. Don't judge it, don't question it, just let it be there. And still with your eyes closed, I'll now guide you into the infinite silence meditation. There's some terms I will use, which I'll just briefly clarify. At one point, I will say, just be open to the experience of spheres of light. And I'll explain that in the meditation, but you don't need to do anything at that point, just be open from your heart. And then the term infinite silence is the name for the absolute awareness, the true essence, or the true self that emerged in the realization. So now, bringing your attention to your body and just simply noticing any feelings, sensations, emotions, any thoughts, and just totally and utterly accepting that they are there without any judgment, just silently witnessing them, like you're watching a movie from the inside. Just watching. No judgment, just watching. Totally accepting what's here. And from your heart now, just be open to the experience of spheres of light. That's spheres of light. Nothing to do, just open. This energy of spheres of light is the same as the pure, universal state. I am. nothing after the words I am. It is pure being, universal being, the infinite I am. Just resting your attention on this I amness, noticing the aliveness, the beingness, simply watching. And know now this state I am can only be witnessed, sensed, or seen from what I call the silent witness within infinite silence. And just letting your attention now merge with this silent witness that sees the state I am. Merging with this. And this silent witness is like a sliver of ice, and it's in an ocean, and it's melting, dissolving, becoming one with the ocean. And the ocean is an ocean of infinite silence. Just like you've dived into the ocean and all has become still, silent, pure stillness, pure silence, infinite silence, deeper and deeper, merging, melting, becoming one with this infinite silence. All phenomena appear in front of this, on the green screen of consciousness. In silence, we trust. Be still and know this silence, this infinite silence. Always present. In silence, you will realize your truth. In truth, you will realize you are silence. Infinite silence. Be still and know. This rarefied atmosphere of silence transforms, transmutes, dissolves all that you are not. Effortlessly, silently, simply resting in this through this, as this oceanic, infinite silence. Be still and know. This silence untouched, unmoved, unblemished, perfect, whole, complete. Always this. Never not this. Infinite silence. Infinite awareness. Be still and know. Ever present, presence. Eternity. Be still and know. Nothing you have to do to be this. Simply, silently, effortlessly, already this. Be still and know. Infinite silence. And keeping your eyes closed now, we're going to play a harp track. And it is said that music is the silence between the notes. So let the beauty of this harp transport you deeper. It's called Heart Song, and I'll be back after that. So you
Thank
might
you.
like to keep your eyes closed as I move on to this little reading to build upon what we've shared thus far. It follows on from the Who Am I exercise, what came to you there, and the meditation. And it's called Reflections on Realisation, Part 5. It's so simple. Since you were born, you have constantly been taught, cajoled, pressured even into achievement, to results, to be a success. The sources of this may have been many. Yet what if there was nothing you had to do to realize your true nature? The true, non-personal self. Pure awareness. Infinite silence. Nothing at all. Nothing to learn. Even nothing you could do. Where would that leave you? With nowhere to go. Simply now, here. Did you know that the purpose of all spiritual practice is so you don't have to? Practice at being who you really are. Intrinsically worthy, beyond even the idea of worthy. This awareness already. Could it be this simple? See what the silence of the heart has to say about this. Pause now. Listen. All these ideas, concepts, beliefs, conditioning, experiences, suffering, and so on. And none of them are yours. Or more accurately, original to you. That which you already are. Untouched, unmoved, perfect and complete. For sure, many of these experiences come with great pain and suffering. This calls for compassion, not some test to be passed. It calls for love. That which is without condition, time or space. You are loved. You are love. Its source and its experiences all wrapped into one. Could this be true? Pointing to truth. Can you accept this totally? Let all that you believed to be so about you dissolve. Would it be worth it? You know the answer. The silence of the heart never lies. So here you are. That which you are seeking is that which you already are and have been for eternity. Pure, non-personal awareness. Infinite silence. The Buddha, Maestro, Sage, universal wisdom, intelligence, and all its expressions at once. Only ego mind complicates it. It's so simple. Thank you, everybody, for joining the meditation.
Thank you, Philip. That was just wonderful. And we loved the harp music. Where did the harp music come from?
So it's from my friend Tara Annette Cook, and recorded by her husband Ken, collectively known as Omnisphere. And that track that we had there was Heart Song, and the opening track was called Opening, funnily enough. And they have a CD, which they do sell. If anybody's interested, they can access that via me. And actually, interestingly, quite a number of tracks on the CD came from when Tara attended one of my retreats. So beautiful music, beautiful.
Yes, I thought it was absolutely lovely. Now, Philip, would you be happy to answer any questions?
Sure.
So if anybody has any questions for Philip, yes, we can put them in the chat box, or I see Peter Hardwick. So Peter, let's take yours first.
Yes, this was, I think, very, very interesting. Apart from meditation, I've also trained as a clinical hypnotherapist. So in the different practices, particularly in hypnotherapy, sometimes it wasn't that I went to sleep, I would go to sleep, but my awareness just stopped. Now, in your meditation, Philip, or in the first part, as I was fully alert and awake, as soon as you got to the point where you said, what if you had no memory? From that point, I have no recollection of anything at all until the harp music started again. As far as I can judge, I was not what I call sleeping. I just wondered, well, what have I missed by not listening to, I don't know, but anyway, that was it. Suddenly, no recollection from when you said, what if you didn't have a memory?
Good. Okay. Well, that sounds to me like you probably didn't fall asleep and you dropped into silent awareness. And that can drop, you can drop so deep into that, and that actually all phenomena, and I mean all phenomena, whether thoughts, feelings, sensations, emotions, even awareness of your body can drop. Now, it's possible that that's what, I'd have to just ask you a few more questions, but just to be certain of that. But it certainly sounds like what happened there was you dropped into the infinite silence, a field of energetic awareness, the absolute state. And the phenomenal world at that, in those moments did not appear to be present. And then came back online, so to speak, as you heard the harp. So that's what it sounds like happened to you there, Peter, and that is a very auspicious experience if that's what unfolded for you.
I do meditate laying down, so I know I can get into a deep state of physical relaxation easily.
So it sounds very probable that that's what happened to you then, Peter, and this is very good because that's a very deep touch of what I refer to, or it referred to itself as, more accurately, the infinite silence. If there was no phenomena there and there was just pure awareness, then this is very good, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Kirsten, have you got one from the chat box?
Not yet, but well, we've got one that's just come up. So Linda says, I was floating within the cosmos. It was wonderful. That's a comment. And then Sue asks, she says, thank you, very powerful meditation. Do you find it important to ground afterwards?
Sure, it's a helpful thing to do to remain grounded. I guess everybody knows what that means, but yeah, it is important because certainly as you deepen into a meditation like this, which is an awareness-based meditation, as energetic shifts take place in your body vehicle, you can feel very floaty and so forth, and maybe even sort of not quite here. And so physical grounding, for bare feet on the ground, drinking some water, and physically anchoring yourself to the earth is actually very, very important, because you need to be able to embody and integrate this awareness. It's all right being floating around in the cosmos, and that's a beautiful experience, nothing wrong with that. But ultimately, we have these bodies to experience life. We're not the body, but it's a vehicle through which we can express and experience life. So grounding is very, very important.
In fact, there's a question, Philip, about what is grounding.
Okay, as simple terms, if you had your bare feet on Mother Earth, on the grass, say, in your lawn or whatever, then this is grounding. You're actually in direct contact, and there's actually quite a lot of scientific research. Seeing as we're in the scientific and medical network, there's actually increasing amount of research looking at the effects of physical contact of the human form with the body. And that direct contact with the earth it actually creates some kind of field where you're in contact with the body, which can be measured. And actually having that direct connection brings your energy. It moves you from being less floaty. You kind of feel very centered, still, and you're actually physically connected to the earth. If you had, for instance, a rubber flip-flop between you and the grass, that you wouldn't be grounded. But if you have just your bare feet, then you can be grounded. There are things called grounding mats that you can connect into your plugs, and that because all electricity is earthed, that will actually also ground you as well. But also drinking something like water or a very wholesome piece of food will have a grounding type effect. It's basically connecting your body to the earth. Your body is of the earth. And
Thank you. And there is, in fact, a book called Earthing.
There is, yeah.
And if people would like the reference to that, I'll make sure that it's put in the chat box for next time. Yes.
Thank you. So Marjan asks, how would you describe being connected to infinite silence influenced your awareness of current events?
Okay, so how would I describe being connected to infinite silence and influenced my experience of current events? Is the way I understood that. So the first thing to understand is I'm not connected to infinite silence. I am infinite silence, and you are too. And actually, you don't need to believe me on that. One of the great things about self-realization is it doesn't require belief. Truth is a realization, not a belief. And so as this realization flowers, you will realize that you are infinite silence, infinite consciousness, or infinite awareness. These are all the same. But as one realizes that, and the energetic or emotional baggage that we carry is dissolved, and that's very important. We have an experience of emotional body. Then the experience of the outside world changes as you change from within, and you're not triggered by life. You're not getting angry or upset or basically emotionally off balance by the appearance of many events, whether they be tragic, traumatic, or whatever, as more of that emotional body and that realization of that you are that, then life becomes peace and you are the living meditation. I'm hoping that answers your question, but if you want to clarify it further, please do.
There's two, thank you. And there's two questions in the chat that I'll combine. So Carol says that she was focused on the silence and found the words that were almost a distraction, pulling her away into thinking. And then similarly, Christine says, I was away at the spheres, but then kept being pulled out of the silence by the talking. Is this a meditative paradox, or is it just a preference about technique?
Okay, so there's a few things happening there. When I did, the perfect meditation for me would be just be sat in silence with you and just literally hear, and I wouldn't say anything. But because usually I'm connecting with audiences of various experiences from all over the world, I use some pointing and words of guidance that taken you into awareness. For those two people speaking there, it sounds like they dropped into awareness or deeply into the silence at the spheres of light point. However, as words were coming up, there was a pull from identity, because you think you and believe you are the body-mind until you have realized this unequivocally. And there's always going to be a pull towards the phenomenal world, words, feelings, sensations, emotions. So what was happening there is that there was a pull arising from that identity to go back there rather than remain as awareness. So if a thought arises, or a sensation, or a pull back into the phenomenal world, the key from a meditative perspective is to simply observe that. Don't fight it, don't judge it, just simply accept that it's there, and in the acceptance and the witnessing of it, it will fall away and drop like a wave, like the wave I was talking about. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you. And we have Tuvi with a raised hand next.
Yes. First of all, thank you very much, Philip. I really enjoy it. I especially, I must tell you, I enjoy both also your voice. You've got something very nice with your voice in the harp, which I really enjoy. Thank you. First of all, I'm very, very aware that I'm awareness. I'm not my body, I'm not my emotions. So it's obvious for me. So, but on the other hand, I'm using my body. I'm observing my emotions, and of course. And I'm also, but there is two questions about this. First of all, I'm not myself only, I'm part for me of the big awareness, of the big consciousness, or doesn't matter how you call it, universal love, God, etc. I feel I'm part of it, because when I've got my awareness, and Peter, and you also have got awareness, when the silence is the same, but when you use your body, etc., you observe something else, and Peter observes something else. So each one of us, even we are part of the same observer, same consciousness, each one, like using in the same way that each one have got his own car, we're using our body to observe something else. That's one point. But I want to mention more this, okay? If all of us are only aware during meditation, or not just meditation, that you are awareness, nobody will do any actions, okay? But all of us, not all of us, even the universe, doing only not just observing, but also action. There is evolution, that we are part of the evolutions. In order to have evolution, it means that somebody, doesn't matter if it's if I'm observed, but somebody, some consciousness is involved in the evolution and create and do some action to create the evolutions. And the love also can include also not just observing love, is also to do something. Even the sunshine is not just observing, it's also giving love and light, okay? So if we are part of this consciousness, it means we are not only observing, but also we are doing something. So my question is, if so, the observer is not just observe, is also part of the consciousness which is doing something. That's my first question. The second question, I believe that what's important is not just 20 minutes, or as Peter mentioned, 1 hour everyday meditation, but all our life, all what we're doing in the life. For me, it's not less important what doing in meditations. So for me, all the life is very important, that everything we are doing, we have to be aware that we are part of consciousness, but not just sitting in awareness all the time, but all our actions is part of this awareness of the consciousness, and all our action in order to do something. And I feel there is some purpose. Evolution is part of it, okay? That you have to contribute to this. So for me, it's not just to be observed, but at the same time, I feel that I'm part of something bigger, or universal consciousness, that all of us part of it. But it's not just observe, but also is doing something. This is my question to you, okay?
Okay, good. Yeah.
And if you have time to answer, is the sphere connected to the spheres in Kabbalah, or the sphere of light of nothing to do with this? That's a tiny question at the end.
Okay, okay, well, maybe you might have to remind me of that. So, one is, we collectively all are, indeed all is, universal consciousness, infinite silence.
Yes, of course.
Awareness. All is that, and all its expressions, all at once, both and in fact you can't really put it into words. And an insight that emerged to be able to, that's directly relevant to your question. If we take the infinite silence, and that's the absolute, that's the realization. In that, if I can use it this way, and the words fail us here, but if I just express it this way, in that domain, there is no time, there is no space, there is no form, there is no being. There's just simply infinite silence that's aware of itself as that. Yet, it, if I can call it that, it chooses to experience and express itself. And actually, an insight that came to me was this: variety is my cause. That came directly from meditation. Variety is my cause. It chooses to express and experience itself in infinite variety. Now, in the human domain, we're so used to time, space, form, being, contrast. As far as the absolute is concerned, and again, you don't need to believe anything I say on this, all of it, all of its expressions, all of time, all of eternity is here for it now.
Yes.
But it would not know itself without its expression. And so the expression, as you were pointing at, is incredibly important to it, because it becomes to know itself in its own experience. And so you get to, as Peter or Tuvi, to realize that you are this, and not only that, all of the expressions at once. I have a metaphor that I use for this. It's this fiber optic lamp. And most often we think of ourselves as this point of light here at the end. And that's all that most of the population of the planet thinks it is. The spheres of light part of the meditation takes you into this state of universal being. It's not personal, the I amness. And yes, that's the light at the bottom. And you can see, of course, all the points of light came from this.
Yes.
In the Hindu tradition, by the way, that's called Hiranyagarbha. Spheres of light equals Hiranyagarbha equals the pure state I am. What drives this, though, is the battery in this metaphor.
Yes.
And that's the infinite silence. Except the infinite silence, of course, is everywhere. And there are fibers coming out in every direction. So one is all of this, all of its expressions now across all of eternity. And the human experience is very beautiful because we get to have that experience, mostly if we forget that we're this, but then we come back to the realization that we are this. So it gets to choose, and it chooses to experience and express itself. Hopefully that picks up on your question.
Half of it, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
The second half is also action. Thank you. Thank you.
Philip, thank you so much. I'm afraid that we're out of time, and I'd love to have gone on. So I'd love to know the answer. I think the meditations now that either I hold or other people hold, people are going much deeper than they used to.
Yeah.
It seems as if there has been an increasing in general understanding of who we are, and in answering the question that you put to us, I am. So, Philip, thank you so much. We're enormously grateful to you. And now I'd ask everybody to shut their eyes and feel a large pulse of love in your heart. And let it accumulate there. Then when I ask you to open your eyes, I want you to blow out the love over this world, over this planet, all the animals, all creatures, and suffering humanity, and particularly all those people who have lost loved ones in the present pandemic. So, open your eyes and blow out. So thank you very much indeed. And again, Philip, a million thanks to you. It was terrific.
Been a delight to be here. So thank you for the opportunity.
And thank you everybody for coming, and see you all next week. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.